So if you're wondering what's been everybody's flavor or choice when it comes to building a gaming PC, then you might be surprised with the most popular gaming configuration or most popular PC configuration may not be exactly what you think. And we're going to use those metrics based off of the Steam survey that allows Steam to gather information based on their system, like what type of CPU they're using, the clock speed, how much VRAM their graphics card has, how much DDR4, DDR3, or just memory in total, like how much that user is using for their system. I do want to add that while Steam isn't entirely indicative of all PC gamers or everybody that has a PC or that games on a PC, but I do want to add that Steam has well over 100 million active users with anywhere between 20 to 25 million daily users. So while not inclusive, these figures represent a large pool of PC gamers. Even if you estimate that only half the users have opted in for the survey, that still represents a lot of people or a lot of gamers, say 50 plus million to be exact, which is less than the population of California, the US state here in stateside America. That's less than the population of the US state California and less than the population of the country Spain. So again, large enough pool, but not enough water. But in that large pool lies a lot of revealing information in terms of the different hardware, some of the most typical or most common hardware configurations that PC gamers are going with, at least looking at the Steam survey against some 100 plus million active users. And today in this video, we're going to go over the configuration and see exactly how much would a system run you that mirrors the most popular configuration right here on Steam. Steam being one of the most popular within itself and chosen platform for gamers to download and install their games or to build their video or to build their library, their catalog of games. I usually hear myself a lot. Tell me down in the comment section below what's your go-to launcher. But looking at the data acquired from some of those millions of users and the setup and configuration most of them are running, again, it starts to chisel down or tell quite the interesting story. We're going to jump right over here and take a look at it. As you can see, we're looking at the Steam hardware and survey for May. I mean, I know we're in June, but still close enough. It's still relevant enough. So if you haven't yet seen the Steam survey, it's super easy to find and go to on Steam's website. It gives you a very interesting outlook on the configuration and the type of operating systems gamers are using, again, for those who have opted in to the survey. And immediately when I scroll down here and take a look at just the overall system configuration, that's how much system RAM users are using, or the clock speed for their CPU, how many cores they have, most importantly the graphics card, which I'm gonna jump right into, tells one of the most interesting stories on this chart alone. But checking out the graphics card, so 5.85% of users are using a GTX 1650. That's a 4GB graphics card. I reviewed it here on the channel myself, still up. You can find it here over in my catalog. And then coming in close here is the GTX 1060, falling right behind or catching up here with a 0.22% increase is the RTX 3060. And then the GTX 1060, which always historically has been the popular go-to for budget PC gamers or those who don't want to splurge initially on a graphics card. But it's no question here that it's the go-to for gamers that were looking for a discrete video card or a video card solution for their system, with the 1650 Super being the most popular graphics card on the platform. Makes sense when you look at the most popular resolution is still 1920 by 1080p. Though there's over half, more than half of users going with the tried and true resolution, full HD, if you will, 1920 1080p. But if you take a look here, 2560 by 1440p is slowly starting to pick up momentum and gain interest among PC gamers, at least again on the Steam platform. And I really attribute that to the popularity of the RTX 3060 with its 12GB VRAM buffer. Opens up the doorway or the possibility for you to game at a higher resolution beyond 1080p, maybe about high to medium settings in most graphically demanding games. But with the RTX 3060 getting popular, this resolution here, again 1440p, is essentially picking up steam. But 1920 by 1080p is still the solid go-to, with less than 3% of users going with 4K. That's 3840 by 2160p. Again, it's not as widely adapted yet. So again, wide range of graphics card choices here, anywhere between 4 to 6GB and even 12GB. Then you have the RTX 2060 still hanging relevant there, and then the RTX 3060 Ti, that's also picking up steam and momentum here. But the RTX 3060, I mean, is dropping in price further and further, and I can see this card eventually surpassing the GTX 1060 as more users look to upgrade, say, from the 1060 Pascal line of cards over to the XX or the 3060 lineup of NVIDIA graphics cards. And then jumping over to the most popular clock speed here, outlined by users who have opted into the Steam survey. Shout out and salute to y'all, fam. But the most popular clock speed range is 2.3 gigahertz to 2.69 gigahertz. That's at least an i5 at best, somewhere between 8th generation on up, or at least a 6th to 7th generation. That's Skylake or Kaby Lake, Coffee Lake i5, or you can pick up a Ryzen 5 3600 or 5600, and those clock speeds will far surpass the boundary here outlined in this chart. But 20%, little close to over 21%, or 21% users are using the clocks or using the CPU in this clock speed range. That's about an i5. But then coming in here at second place, you have 3.3 gigahertz to 3.69 gigahertz, with 14.5% users rocking the CPU within that clock speed range. This might be a little bit more akin to users with Ryzen CPUs, and there's somewhere along the lines of a Ryzen 5, maybe 2600, or a Ryzen 5 3600. Maybe there's somewhere in between there. But another telltale sign that gives me an idea that this is an i5 class range of CPU here with that clock speed is the number of cores identified here, with physical cores being 6, and then coming here second is 4 cores, good old quad core still hanging on. And then there's the current uplift and users who are leaning a little bit more towards a CPU with 6 cores. That 29% increase could also be indicative of 10th generation, 11th generation i5s dropping lower and lower in price, from 150 to 160 USD. And you could pick those CPUs up with a budget-friendly motherboard and 16 gigabytes of DDR4, which again is the popular choice now. We've been telling y'all for a while now, 16 gigabytes is the way to go. More than half the users, again 50 million or 50 plus million users, half of them are rocking a system with at least 16 gigabytes of RAM. But I also want to point out that 32 gigabytes is becoming more and more popular too. But systems are still holding on strong, also with 8 gigabytes of DDR4. I mean, not much you can do with that on a modern system, especially when you're looking at Windows taking at least 2 to 4 gigabytes, somewhere along the lines of there, of memory allotment. And if you're gaming at 720p, maybe at low settings, you could probably get away with that. But chances are, with a modern setup, or to acquire the kind of performance that most gamers are looking for, you're going to want to be here in this demographic, or even this demographic, either one. And then looking here at the OS, we have Windows. Windows still the most popular go-to, with users still can't let go of Windows 10. Although look at here, 0.60% increase with users jumping over to Windows 11. So maybe we'll slowly start to see that change. That's going down, that's going up. But more and more users are adopting Windows 11. Still a far cry from Windows 10 users, but still the most popular go-to OS for PC gamers. And then jumping back down and taking a look at the amount of VRAM that's most popular with Steam users who have opted in for the survey. That appears to be about 8 gigabytes of VRAM, 0.43% increase, with users making a switch from graphics cards with 6 gigabytes of VRAM. So again, that's that GTX 1060, that GTX 1660 Super, or 1660 range of graphics cards, with the graphics cards with at least 12 gigabytes also having a significant increase here. Again, that could also coincide with the fact that the RTX 3060 is becoming more and more of a popular choice among gamers who are looking to find that balance between budget and performance. I mean, 8 gigabytes is also increasing in popularity, but not as fast as graphics cards register with 12 gigabytes or more. So that also coincides with the fact that 1440p is also picking up steam, as again, this opens up the possibility for gamers to bump up their resolution. And then taking a look down here at the total hard drive space and then the free hard drive space, that's how much hard drive space users are actually registering. And we're looking at the base, you can see here, it's at least above 1 terabyte, with games becoming larger and larger in file size, and storage devices and storage drives dropping lower and lower in prices. Like, game sizes are going up, SSD prices and hard drive prices are coming down. Like, it's a beautiful balance here on the scale. But most users, more than half or almost half of that 100 million active or daily users, those who have opted in for the Steam survey, are rocking a drive of more than 1 terabyte, at least 50%. And then the other group that comes in second place is about 23%. That's between 250 to 500 gigabytes, which is a little closer to a console. And then this is interesting here. How much space, like how much games are users actually downloading and installing here on their drive? Most of them have between 100 gigabytes to 250 250 gigabytes, the majority of them, right, at 25%, have that allotment or that free space on their hard drive. And if you look at the math here, and I'm no mathematician here, wasn't my favorite subject. I CD'd my way through math. If you know, you know. But most users registered having a drive of above 1 terabyte. So even if we just stay at 1 terabyte and we look at the average or the majority of free hard drive space users are reporting on the Steam survey, it's between 100 and 250. So suffice it to say that more than 75% of the average hard drive is being utilized on PCs that are registered here on the Steam survey. Now, how much money would a system like this cost you, or could you build or could you configure a system that's similar to the most popular one here defined on the Steam survey? Well, first, honestly, it starts with the type of games you want to play and how you want to experience them. One of the things we preach here on the channel and in this community, you start with those two things, and then that will determine how much money you may need to invest to build a system that's going to deliver the level of quality that you're expecting as a PC gamer. We call it here at Inside the Lab your targeted gaming experience. But if you wanted to build a PC that's similar to the most popular one defined here at Steam or here on Steam, which is pretty close to a system that can deliver a manageable experience between 1080p medium to high settings with that 1650 and the RTX 3060 and GTX 1060 being the strong runner-ups there with the most popular choice of PC gamers, and then rocking a CPU with a pretty modest or pretty easily attainable clock speed range is also something that's largely in part very attainable with a budget of less than 200 USD. So again, what may a system look like here that's very close to the one that's outlined here in that Steam survey, and how much will it run you? So I'll save you a little bit of time, as I've already went ahead and configured a system that's very much in line with the one that we just looked at, or the one that's largely representative of the most popular choice for PC gamers in terms of hardware choice. And to start off, we have the Intel i5 as a 10th generation CPU, but again with its 6 cores and boost clock frequency of up to 4.3 gigahertz, and its price point at $111 makes it a solid choice for gamers looking to, say, jump on board and go right into it with a CPU that can get it done. It's modern enough, it's a few generations behind, but still packs a lot of IPC, strong IPC to be in fact, and you can pick it up here for about 112 or under 100 USD. Has low wattage, so you don't have to worry about a lot of heat, and it comes with a stock cooler, so you can save money there initially at the initial cost of your build. And then looking at the motherboard, we have the MSI Z490 Gaming Plus. I went with a higher end skewed motherboard here. This is in lock CPU, so you can't overclock it, right? Like, you can only overclock K-based CPUs, but it does have a 4.3 gigahertz boost clock frequency, and with the base clock frequency of 2.9 gigahertz, you're already surpassing the minimum threshold clock speed that we've seen over on the Steam survey. But I went with the Z400 motherboard instead of like a lower H or B series Intel motherboard, to leave the possibility open to, say, upgrade to a 10900K with this system, or a higher end unlocked or CPU that you can overclock. And that motherboard is coming in at just a little over 100 USD, and you can find it on Amazon. And then again, 16 gigabytes, the most popular choice of gamers still on the platform, for under 50 USD. So not a lot of money there. You can go for 32 if you plan on doing more in a system like you've seen back there on Steam. Say have something playing in the background, or you want to record your gameplay, or you want to game at a higher resolution and a higher graphic level detail. And then we have a 1 terabyte M.2. Again, storage device prices have come down significantly. It's better to take advantage of them for your system while you can. 1 terabyte at 60 USD, not bad at all. Most users over on Steam are rocking storage drives of at least 1 terabyte or more. And then for our video card, one of the RX 6600, it's an 8 gigabyte graphics card. Again, that's representative of the most popular VRAM allotment on video cards over on Steam. If you have a little bit more in the budget here, and you can add about $100, $150, go with the RTX 3060. But that's after you've already assessed, again, the type of games you want to play and how you want to experience them. If you are targeting a higher level of detail at a higher resolution, you might want to invest a little more in the RTX 3060. But if 1080p medium to high settings is your go-to with at least 60 FPS more in most modern games, then the RX 6600 at $200 is a solid buy that you should pick up. And then for our case, I just went with the Fractal Design Focus 2 here. It's a nice, decent mid-sized tower. You can go with the case that fits either your style or your preference and or your budget, but at 90 USD, I mean, you can go a little lower here. It just depends on the type of case you want. Cases here have increased in price. Again, for $90, this is only a mid-tower case, but Fractal Design makes really good cases, solid build quality there. And then for our power supply unit, I went with a 650 watt, 80 plus bronze certified semi-modular power supply. When and where, if you can, you want to go with a semi-modular power supply, and that's going to allow you to say swap out cables that you're not using. And it's also going to allow you to have cleaner cable management in the front and back of your system. And that power supply comes in at just a little over 80 USD. I went with 650 watts, as it's, in my opinion, a good rule of thumb when you're trying to determine how much wattage you're going to need. I mean, this is just an estimate, but with other factors like boost clock frequencies and what have you, you may look at wanting to ensure you have a power supply that at least 2x your estimated wattage, and also allows me to upgrade to a higher rated graphics card down the road. Once you factor in those core components, just a little over or under 700 USD with shipping included. And again, that's not bad, especially given that these parts are all accessible today. So you can buy these components today, build these components today, and get started with some solid PC gaming today. So yeah, not a bad buy at all. If you're interested in building a system, or if you want more advice on how to build a system like the one that's outlined here on PCPartPicker.com, hit me up on Twitter at InsideTheLabYT or Instagram at InsideTheLab. You can find all the links down in my socials down in the description box below. But again, if you look at the Steam survey, it's representative of at least 100 million users. More than half of them are going with a very modest, very attainable system that you can build or you can buy for around 700 USD. It's about $200 more than a PS5, but it has about 100 more benefits. Okay, maybe not 100, but there's definitely a lot. But with the PS5 right now obtainable for about 500 USD, you have to ask yourself, which one should you go with? If you're the type of user that might want more out of your games and you want the level of control and how those games look and feel, then paying that additional $200 is well worth it. Building a system that mirrors or parallels the most popular system amongst users on Steam is one that's going to get the job done now and in the future. But that's all I got for this one. It's been your boy Lab here. Do remember to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. I do hope to catch you on the next one. So until then, be easy.